Greetings, YouTube. I probably should have made this video before now, but quite honestly, I've been on vacation, and even though I've still made plenty of videos, certainly this past week, I try to spend as much time with my family as I can, and I have ideas in my head for things I want to talk about, but then it gets late, and I think, I'll worry about that tomorrow, and that's this specific video. Now, I want to be clear, because there are going to be people who watch this video and understand what I'm saying. But there's also going to be people who just click on the headline and think I'm being Mr. Negative and that everything is being exaggerated. Personally, I am not trying to say in this video that scrap in general is a bad idea or a bad thing to put in a greater banquet crystal. I actually think it's pretty great when it's a bonus item. Like, how cool would it be if some crystals just had some amount of scrap at the end of the crystal after the featured item? So let's say you get, ISO and gold and a 6-star nexus and then 30,000 scrap. I think everybody would love that. But when you're spending real money and real units to get a side quest currency, it ends up making you really annoyed and feel as if you kind of got ripped off. Because the whole purpose of a side quest is to be free. The whole purpose of this Rockets Workshop side quest and all the week 1, week 2, and this week, week 3, next week, week 4, of the Rockets Scraptacular event is to be something you can do to gain some amount of resources that you will hopefully use. But the other problem with this event is that the actual rewards, unlike Elder difficulty with last month, are just kind of underwhelming. If it was a fully formed Tier 5 basic instead of half of one, I think that would be better. If it was 4 Tier 2 alpha instead of over 1, that'd be better. If it was 1,000 6-star shards instead of the couple of hundred that it is here, it'd be better. I actually think the only reward that makes sense is the Tier 4 Basic, and I have spent most of my scrap on those because I go through them so much when I'm ranking up 6 stars, and even though I've spent a large portion of my scrap on them, you can look at my inventory and see that I still only have 1 in my overflow, which is kind of crazy, given that I've probably purchased about 40 of them worth of scrap. But that's just the reality of how fast you can burn through them when you take 6 stars from rank 1 to rank 2. So, I'm not saying that I don't appreciate it being in the crystals, but it cannot be the item that you get for over $10 worth of units. And sometimes people say, well, Prof, what do you mean over $10 worth of units? So I don't know why I have to explain myself, but because I keep getting asked that question, when you go to the $10, you normally don't see 410. You normally see, 275, which it's not 275 units to open a Greater Banquet Crystal, formerly known as Greater Gifting Crystal. It's 300 units. So if you're spending over $10 worth of units on a non-special promotion day, and you get a side quest amount, which brings me to the third point. Some of you have opened, understandably, because you whale out every year on this, or maybe this is your first year to whale out, I don't know. You've opened millions of scrap. And Kabam knows this, and they've heard you on the forums, which is why they are making, at the end of January, kind of sucks it's a month away, but at least they're hearing you, a scrap store to have you cash in your scrap more efficiently and not have to go through 50K per path every time you want to, cash it in. It still is the case that you just look at it as an inconvenience, an annoyance. And personally, I don't think it would be looked at that if it was a bonus item. But having it be a featured item in a Greater Gifting Crystal and having it be a decent drop rate, when you go to these, it is almost a 10% drop rate. Although some of you have sent me, you're cursed. You're cursed with scrap. Kabam is throwing you to the literal scrap heap of history. Because you have like a 50% drop rate for scrap in the openings you've sent me that haven't made my best of the list, but it certainly would make the worst screenshots of this event. Again, if that was a bonus 10% and 10% of the time you just got bonus scrap along with the Cav Crystal or Cav Nexus Crystal or featured 6-star Hero Crystal or whatever, I would say fantastic, awesome. But that is not the reality of the world that we live in, unfortunately. So, I wanted to make this video to be a voice for those of you who have told me this exact same thing behind the scenes. Hopefully you feel like I've given your rage justice. Huge mistake to make it in the actual crystal. Next time, make it as a bonus item or leave it out completely.